Welcome to the Spa Girls podcast, the self-publishing podcast for authors. You're in the right place for the best writing, marketing, and publishing advice, plus interviews with industry experts and best-selling authors. Speaking of which, I'm Cheryl Phipps.
And I'm Trudy J. We are missing the other two Spa Girls this week, but instead of them, we've got the awesome Erin Wright. Hello.
Woo, yay. Hi.
Hi.
So happy to have you here.
Yes, very excited.
Oh.
Now I'm going to read your bio, and then it may become obvious to our listeners, if they don't already know who you are, what we're going to talk about, and then we're going to get right into the interview. So USA Today best-selling author of Western romance, Erin Wright has 15 published books and has been publishing since 2016. Before that, she worked every job under the sun, including library director, barista, teacher, website designer, and ranch hand, helping brand cattle before settling into her dream career. Despite starting out in KU, she decided to go wide on all platforms in 2017 when she realized she couldn't get her books into libraries if she was exclusive to Amazon. She started the Wide for the Win Facebook group in 2019 to help other authors find information about being wide, and now the group has more than 14,000 people in it and regularly asking and sharing information and helping each other with the business of being wide. So,
yay! Yeah. So good to be here.
Yeah, so it's very exciting. So we're going to be talking about being wide for authors this week, and I'm super excited because I'm in the process of doing it. So I'm going to be asking you all the questions. But first, before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about your journey into writing and self-publishing. How did you get here today?
Sure. So I was one of those kids that all the writing contests growing up, I entered all of them and won some and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't think you could actually make money being an author. That was just something that you did for fun. So I did a bunch of other things. And then I found out one day online that self-publishing was a thing. And I was like, you what? Please tell me more. And so I ended up discovering and researching. And so, I started publishing in the fall of 2016. And I started out in KU because of course I did, because that's the only way you can make any money, #duh. And so I literally didn't know a single soul who was in wide because only stupid people went wide. And then I found out that I couldn't have my ebooks in libraries. And I had been in the library world for 7 years previous, and including 18 months as a library director. And I was like, now, hold on a moment here. We got to have a talk. I can't not have my books in libraries. This is not a thing. And so I decided I was going to go wide, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't even know the names of all the platforms. I don't know if Mark remembers this. He probably didn't, but I started stalking him on Facebook and pestering him and asking him questions because I didn't know how to publish to Kobo.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything, but I was like, I will figure this out because I will be wide. Yeah. And so that was back in the spring of 2017. And then I started, like you said, Wide for the Win in the fall of March of 2019. So in fact, we're coming up on our anniversary. So of 4 years.
Oh, yeah. 4 years. Wow.
I know.
Gosh, time goes past really quickly in the self-publishing world because it feels like Wide for the Win has been around for a lot longer than 4 years in my head. That doesn't seem long enough. Yeah, so it's
that's so funny because to me, I'm like, wow, 4 years. That's such a long time.
Yeah.
It's all in the perspective.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's true.
And so let's get back to basics. So what does being wide mean? Like if someone's come on listening to the show and they're like, what does she mean? What are we talking about? Give us the rundown. Explain it.
Yes, that's such a good question because I have been wrapped up in this world for such a long time that I forget sometimes, and I just start spouting off things and people are like, I don't even know what you're talking about, Erin, stop. So to back up the train for a sec, being wide is in reference to ebooks.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask questions like, if I am exclusive to Amazon, which that's the opposite of being wide, is exclusivity. If I'm exclusive to Amazon with my ebooks, can I publish my audiobooks wide, or can I publish my print books wide? Yes, they have nothing to do with each other. So in terms of your ebooks only, Amazon has a program called KU, Kindle Unlimited. The program of author facing is KDP Select. So you'll hear KDP Select, Kindle Unlimited, KU. They're all basically the same thing. Amazon has this program for authors and readers. So as an author, you can enroll your book into KU and say, you know, let me be a part of this. Readers can pay for a subscription for KU. So it's like, I don't pay any attention, but it's like $10, $15 a month, something like that. And then they get a all you can eat buffet basically of ebooks.
Yeah.
So they can log in and they can check out a book. You can have, I think, 10 books at a time or something.
Yeah.
Again, I don't pay that much attention to KU, let's be honest, but it used to at least be 10 books at a time. And so you check them out, you read them, you return them. So you pay one flat fee, you get all you can eat, all you can read ebook access. Then the author gets paid per page that is read. So if I had my books in KU and Trudy checked out one of my books and she read it, then I would get paid for however many pages KU said, or Amazon says my book is long. So they have some weird formula things, but let's say my book is 350 pages long and Trudy reads the whole thing, then I would get 350 page reads. Amazon then once a month pays out to the authors an amount per page, and it's 0.004, and then it's like pi after that, right? Like it just keeps going. It's like stupidly long. Yeah, it's crazy. And you find out every month on the 15th what the KU page rate was for the month before. So anyway, if you the negativity for authors is that if you choose to put your books into KU, you cannot put your books anywhere else. So that's the exclusivity part of it. So you cannot put your ebooks on serial apps, on other platforms, even on your own website. You cannot give away ebooks. You can't even give them away for free to readers off your website. You can't get them into libraries. So you are completely locked down in terms of your ebooks. They have to be read through the Kindle Unlimited program or sold on Amazon. The end. There are no other options and avenues for you. From a reader's or from an author's perspective, this is extraordinarily limiting because if something happens and your Amazon account somehow got shut down, you would be in massive big trouble because you don't have any sort of backup. The thing that everybody always says is don't put your eggs all in one basket, right? So you want to diversify. So from the Wide for the Winds perspective, it is all about let's find all the different ways that you can do. You can use your IP and make more money, more ways to reach readers, more ways to be successful. So we are very much not fans of exclusivity in Wide for the Wind.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And so that's the main benefit, right? Like, so being wide is, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. If something happens to your Amazon account, you're not suddenly nothing else. Are there other benefits? Like what else? So you get to be in the libraries. That's obviously why you decided to go wide. That was a big important thing for you. Are there other reasons as well, or is it? I mean, that's a big enough reason as far as I'm concerned. But are there others that I haven't thought about?
Yeah, so there's actually some really fantastic things about being wide, such as if you're on Amazon, then you get paid once a month on the 27th, 28th of the month, right? And you get you get paid, and then that's the end. When you are wide, you get at like almost every day is a payday because you're getting paid from this platform and that platform and from here and from there. You can do Mel Gibson in that movie, and he yells freedom, right? It's a Scottish
Braveheart?
thing, whatever.
Braveheart, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I always think of in my brain, in terms of being wide, because there's so much that you can do when you are wide that you just cannot do if you are an Amazon. So, like, I have my ebooks on serial apps. So, if anybody's heard of Radish, Kiss, these various novel cat, there's quite a few out there. If you've heard of those, that's a serial app, serial like serial killer, not serial like serial eater eating. Anyway,
Thanks for that
but yeah,
clarification, just in case
Yes,
anyone thought it was
yes.
the cereal that we eat that we were talking about.
Yes. Please don't be a serial killer.
Yeah,
Okay,
also that.
so yeah, so I have all my books on all the different serial apps. I can sell my ebooks direct from my website. I can join other authors and do a multi-author box set where we publish across all the different platforms and we work with each other. All these things that you can't do when you are in KU because there's so many restrictions in place. I personally am a huge fan of selling direct from your website because you make such a nice chunk of change. You get paid almost immediately. Then you have all of the visibility that comes from being on other platforms. So Apple, Kobo, Google Play, Barnes & Noble are the 4 major platforms. There's lots of ebook platforms out there, but those are the 4 major ones. And they all have some variation of in-house visibility, either through searching or also bots or in-house promotions, categories, top 100 lists. And you just reach more readers. When you are only on Amazon, then you are not being found and available to people who read on other platforms. So like me specifically, I don't buy ebooks off Amazon, period.
Okay.
So if your books are only on Amazon, I won't read you. And there are a lot of readers out there like that. So you're just missing out, honestly. FOMO, it's real. And for once, this is actually accurate. You really are missing out. So anyway.
That's awesome. So I wanted to talk to you, so there was one other thing that you so in the Wide for the Win, you've recently started doing these introductory courses to going wide, which I totally recommend. So anyone who's not A, in the Wide for the Win group, and B, hasn't done one of those sessions, they should totally go and do them. I just watched it the other day, and you talk about the main difference between Amazon and the wide platforms in terms of the visibility thing and what's different between, Amazon has it one way and all the other wide platforms have it another. Could you just quickly break that down for us as well?
You betcha. So Amazon is a big fan of new. When you first come out of the gate with a new release, whatever your ranking is at that point is probably the highest ranking that book is going to have the whole time that it's live, unless you get something like a BookBub or you do a massive Facebook ad spend, something like that. But right out of the gate, I compare it to a roller coaster. You're going to start out high. And then the longer your book is up, the less visible it is on Amazon. Everybody knows about the 30-day cliff. By 60 days, you damn well better know the name of the book. Sorry, can I swear? You darn well better know the name of the book. I don't mean to get you guys in trouble. In order to find it. Okay. So Amazon rewards newness. It loves that new ebook smell in the morning. The wide platforms reward history and longevity. The longer a book is up on a wide platform, the more the wide platforms know about that book and the more they can show it to people, to readers. So it takes time. You actually start out down here and it goes up over time in terms of visibility. So the more that people look at your book, review your book, download your book, buy your book, whatever, the platforms then know more about your book and know who else to show it to. So the one thing that is really rough is when people get that oh so brilliant idea to go back and forth between being in KU and being wide, thinking that it's not a big deal to do that. The thing is that Amazon very much rewards that behavior, because every time you pull your book from wide and you put it back into KU, your ranking instantly spikes. Because you are in KU, you're fresh and new, you're exciting. So they will give you a flush of new readers or showing you to everybody life is joyous and exciting. After a couple of weeks, it starts to die down. After the 90 days that you're in, like, you have to be paying for every one of those readers who find your series, right? So people may think, oh, well, I'll just pull my book and I'll put it into KU. I'll get all these page reads and get all this money, and then I'll pull it back out and I'll put it back wide, and then I'll get all that big burst of visibility and it'll be awesome and it'll go back and forth. No. Every time you pull your books, sorry, that's not how it works. Every time you pull your books from the wide platforms, and then later put it back on the wide platforms, it is as if that book has never been published on the wide platform before. So you are starting at the bottom of the hill again. And it was hard enough work to get up that hill. You definitely don't want to do it over and over again. If I had $1 for every consultation client who I helped who had been wide, got lured in by the siren song of KU, and realized this is awful, and went back to being wide, and then was like, everything's gone. All my I'm not getting any sales. Everything just disappeared. If I had $1 for every time that happened, I would be significantly richer than I am right now. Because it is a very common frustration for people who don't realize that this is how the wide platforms work. And so they don't realize that they are setting themselves back to ground zero. And it's not just in terms of the algorithms. It's not just in terms of the also bots and the top 100 lists and all that good fun stuff that you are resetting the clock on. The wide platforms are run, well, Apple, Kobo, and Barnes & Noble are run by real human beings. Google Play, it's all run by Google. It's bots and algorithms. There's no human being there saying yes or no to anything, right? But Amazon, Apple, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo have real human beings called merchandisers who go to work every day to help authors be more successful with their catalog, help readers find the right books. They're very passionate about the platform that they work for. You don't make big bucks working for these platforms. This is not a high, flashy, lawyer making $500,000 a year kind of position. You're doing this because you love the platform and you love the industry. And so if they see an author coming and going and leaving, and they don't forget that. And there's Mark Leslie Lefebvre, who actually started Cobra Writing Life and now works for Draft Digital. He said that sometimes it feels like you are the ugly best friend. Where everybody wants to date the best friend, but if they're busy, then okay, fine, I guess I'll take you to the dance instead. And that can be very traumatizing. I don't traumatize you, but like really hard, who the ugly best friend, like, why don't you like me for me? And so people do tend to really, really emphasize Amazon. Even people who are wide, it makes me crazy. I will see people who are wide who post only links to Amazon, nothing else, because the other platforms don't really matter. I'm like, yeah, but if you never post any links and you never push those books, how are you ever going to make any money off of them? I find it fascinating. People will pay just so much money in AMS ads or Facebook ads going to their Amazon books. And then they turn around and they go, man, all I ever sell is Amazon. I just don't even know why I have my books on the wide platforms. And I'm like, So when was the last time you advertised a wide link? When
Mm.
was the last time that you pushed your wide books? And it's like, oh, I didn't realize I had to do that. Yeah, you have to do that. It's
Mm.
not magic.
Yeah.
The readers have to find it somehow. So either you need to be doing paid newsletters, or you need to be running Facebook ads, or you need to be doing in-house promotions, or you need to be doing cross promotions with other authors, or you need to be doing BookBub, something. You need to be pushing the wide platforms just as much as you push Amazon. So I have people who ask me quite often, why am I anti-Amazon? And I strongly feel that I'm not anti-Amazon. I am just pro treating all the platforms as if they all matter.
Mm.
Mm.
And it's rather shocking how often that's like a, well, it never occurred to me to do that viewpoint to have, because Amazon's the only one that everybody cares about. I care about all of them.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah. Treat them all equally. Okay. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about what I want to do is give listeners a sense of how many different places you have your books, and in what formats, how many different formats you have. So we've talked about, say, the big five, which is let's start with Kobo, Apple, Barnes and Noble, Google Play, and Amazon. How did I do?
You did
Well done.
excellent. Good job. Good job.
And then let's talk about what other places do you have your books. You got, and you also talked about the serial apps. So Radish, Kiss, what was the other one? Novel Cat.
Novel Cat. Yeah, and there's a bunch.
Yeah, so you
of
could look
serial
up,
apps out there.
Yeah. So what other places do you have your books? Where else? What are some of the other?
So as a romance author, I also have my books on Eden Books, which is run by a small business owner, Robin Crawford. Robin, if you're listening, hi. I have my books on Eden Books. I have my books on Scribd, which is a kind of like Kindle Unlimited without the exclusivity portion of things. So the reader pays a flat fee, the author gets paid. In their case, they get paid after people read a certain percentage of the book and blah, blah, blah. But it's a subscription program. But it is not actually run by any of the major platforms. It is its own company. So I have my books in that subscription program. I have my books in all the libraries, and there are a lot of libraries out there, and platforms that you can sell your books through on those. And then there's other sites like Vivlio, Tolino, smaller sites that are big in other countries. Tolino is really big in Germany. Vivlio is really big in France. So I have my books onto all of those platforms.
And but those are through either Kobo or Draft to Digital, is that right? Like getting into those platforms, you don't go direct to them?
Correct. So with the libraries and Scribd and Tolino, Vivlio, all those, you can get to them through Draft to Digital. Which I guess we should probably say what a distributor is. If somebody is, this is me back to making assumptions. I apologize, everyone. I'm bad at this. So distributor is where you go to a platform and you upload your ebook to that platform, and then that platform turns around and distributes, send your book out to a bunch of other platforms. So rather than you having to upload to this platform and this platform and this platform individually, you can upload to, say, Draft to Digital, and then from Draft to Digital, they take care of sending out to all the other platforms. So distributors have lots of pluses. They have some minuses. There are different strategies for choosing how you get to different platforms. There are some sites that you literally cannot go direct to. So you can either use a distributor to get it to a site, or you can go direct to a site. Well, not every site wants to work with 10,000 needy, whiny authors. I know that that's strange to hear. I know. We're such a lovely bunch,
Hanging
aren't
on our
we?
every word.
But somehow they don't want to have to manage payroll and the upload interface, and if somebody breaks the system, now you have to help me and blah blah blah. So there are the smaller sites out there like Scribd, Tolino, Vivlio, libraries such that you literally cannot go direct to. Even if you wanted to, you were like, I will go direct everywhere. You can't go direct to these sites. So you're going to be using, you should, but as a white author, to benefit the most from it, you should use a distributor, at least one, to get to these smaller sites and to most of the libraries. Then the negative for distributors is that you're going to always be giving up a small portion of your income. So the distributors don't get paid unless you sell your books. So if you upload your books to Draft to Digital and then you never sell anything, Draft to Digital doesn't make any money, you don't make any money, nobody makes any money. If you sell a book, then Draft to Digital receives that money, takes a small portion, and gives you the rest. So you make money, they make money when you make money, and vice versa, which means that your needs are and goals are aligned with each other. There is one distributor out there that charges you a flat monthly fee, no matter how little or how much you sell. If you're selling a whole bunch, that might be worth it, but I don't typically recommend, because you can just end up in the hole and spending a lot of money to distribute books if they're not selling anything, and they're not super common and well known. Draft to Digital is probably the most popular distributor out there by a fairly long shot, I would say.
And I would argue the most user-friendly as well.
Yes, yes, very much so. I love myself some Draft to Digital. So,
and I would also say too that by going to a distributor or an aggregator, whichever you want to call it, it's actually going to save you time. So that expense that they're going to take, their small portion, is really quite worth it as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. So that's one of the benefits of using a distributor is that you don't have to go to each of these platforms one-on-one. You can just upload once and they take care of all those places from there. You do pay a small percentage, but I use Draft to Digital to get to the libraries, to get to the small storefronts, to get to Apple. And then I go direct to Amazon, Google Play, Kobo, Barnes and Noble, and then, Eden Books and the serial apps and all these others. So everybody thinks, oh, I've had people who didn't realize that Draft to Digital can't actually just get them everywhere. I've had people who think that I'll just upload to Draft to Digital and Draft to Digital.
My job is done.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, you can do that if you would like, but you will be missing out. So Draft to Digital can actually even get you to Amazon if you would like. It's not typically super recommended for various reasons, but you can do that. But Draft to Digital will not get you onto the serial apps. So all of those are off the table. And they will not get you onto Google Play. So one of the top 5 main platforms you cannot get to through Draft to Digital. And then Eden Books and some of these other really small storefronts. So if depending on how much time you have, how tech savvy you are, your willingness to upload to various platforms, you can put together a distribution strategy that makes the most sense for you. I typically recommend that at a bare minimum, if you are just like tech is the devil and you look at a computer and it breaks and you're just like, bah. Okay, in that case, upload directly to Amazon, upload to Draft to Digital, call it a day.
Mm.
If you are somewhat tech savvy and you don't just get into, a 20 meter radius of your laptop and have it explode on you, right? Then I suggest that you should go direct to at least Barnes and Noble, if you can. So Barnes and Noble isn't open to all countries. They're open to a lot of what you would think of as the major English speaking countries. So the UK, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, but not all countries. So that's not always an option. But the way that the Barnes & Noble platform works, you are definitely better off going direct if possible. And it's also really easy to use. So when I first started going wide, oh, how I hated the Barnes & Noble platform. I made jokes that it was run by a group of monkeys high on meth because there was just no other explanation for how awful it was. And they have completely revamped their website. And it is now as easy to publish to as Draft Digital is. And their reporting, I would argue, is even better. So
something that I didn't really, and I mean, this is because I've been in KU for many years. I mean, I haven't been, I started out wide years ago, and then I just went into KU and stayed there. And now I'm going wide again. Is that, for example, Barnes and Noble they just sell in the US. It's not wide, not worldwide like Kobo and the other ones. And I mean, it's a silly little thing, but I just didn't realize it, and things like that. It's just, and the other one was that Kobo, for example, is just ebooks. They don't do print books, do they? They do audiobooks and ebooks, whereas Barnes and Noble does print books as well as ebooks. So just the little things like that you kind of have to learn about all the different platforms is kind of it's
yeah, I equate it to having children, that you have children and yes, they're all got the same parents, they're all the same basic idea. These are going to be places that you can publish your indie books.
Yeah.
But boy, do they have some interesting personalities sometimes. And some things that, that some are better at one thing than another. So Barnes & Noble actually used to sell in England and in the US. And since I started publishing, they pulled back from England.
Okay.
So if you live outside of the US, you can't buy from Barnes & Noble. It's geo lockdown. Someday maybe they'll change that and go worldwide again. I don't know. But yeah, so Amazon and Barnes & Noble sell print, ebook, audio.
Okay.
Then Kobo, Apple, Google Play sell ebook and audio, no dead trees.
Okay.
Dead trees are not shipped around the world in terms of Google Play, Apple, and Kobo. I've actually had people who are like, I don't have my print books uploaded to Kobo. I really should. And I'm like, if you ever manage to do that, tell me all about it, because I want to know.
It's a secret.
That's not a thing. And people just sort of assume because it makes sense. You would think, oh, well, it sells books, so it's going to be print books too. So the way that Kobo works specifically, just so that people know, there is a place when you upload, it asks for a print ISBN. And I have asked Kobo what that's for, because I'm like, why do you care? You guys don't sell print. What's the deal with this? It is because they have partnerships with various storefronts around the world, like Booktopia in Australia, FNAC in France. The list goes on, where those partners sell print books. Right. So if you put a print ISBN in there, then Kobo provides the ebook on the back end, and Booktopia supplies the print book. And you put the print ISBN in, and the system will be able to link the two together. Sometimes if you have slightly different, say, subtitles or something like that, and they won't necessarily link them together, not realizing that they're the same book. So that's what that print ISBN is for. Just so you know.
Good tip. Oh my gosh, because I would have been going, oh, that's obviously some kind of mistake. Stop that. I'm going to
right. Yeah.
So I'm still stuck on the different type, because you've got more places that you've got your books, like
Oh,
and
sorry.
more.
Yes.
I know we've got distracted. We went moved on from that, but I want to, like, what kind of print books do you have? Not just regular old normal whatever paperback books. What else have you got going on?
So because of my my background in the library world, I know how hard it can be to have large prints, a nice selection of large prints. So speaking from experience in the library world, your patrons who read large print tend to be statistically older, retired. This is their hobby. And they will come into the library and they will check out a stack of books and bring that home and read all of them and then come back and drop off that stack of books the next week and say, okay, I need another stack of books. And as a librarian trying to keep them in reading material, it can be a little bit interesting because they just tear through books. Almost all books out there, especially because of how easy like Amazon has made it, almost all books are available in regular print, but there's a fairly small subsection of those that are also available in large print. Large print is sold the majority of the time to libraries. They are thicker, they're bigger, they cost more to print. Regular readers don't tend to buy large print. I mean, not to say that you can't do that. Obviously, there are people out there who do. But for the most part, statistically, large print books are being sold to libraries. So I have regular print paperbacks, large print paperbacks, and I am in the middle of getting regular print hardbacks and large print hardbacks done and uploaded to the various storefronts. So I have altogether 4 kinds of, for every book that I have out, there's 4 different print books, right? And then that's just in terms of print. Now in English, now turn around and let's look at translations. So I have my books currently, I've got some of them in Portuguese, and so I have ebooks and print in Portuguese. And then I'm in the middle of doing German and Spanish translations. So I'm going to have ebook, German ebook, ebooks in German, ebooks in Spanish, print books in German, print books in Spanish. And then you have the different varieties. So I'm probably going to have a large print German translation, a regular print German translation. You can see how this gets complicated very quickly.
Wow.
There's a lot to keep track of. And we haven't even gotten into audiobooks. So there's audio AI with artificial intelligence. So AI audio, human narrated audio, and then someday on my dream list is to have my audiobooks done into other languages, specifically German. I would love to get my audiobooks done in German. But right now I have them in English, and I have all of them done in human narration, and then I'm getting them done right now in AI, just because I like to offer different price points for people. And if you are somebody who listens, there are crazy people out there who listen to their audiobooks at like 1.5 or 2x. And to me, that sounds like a chipmunk high on math. But other people are like, oh, I get the story, and that's all I care about. For that reader, the intonations and the magic that a real narrator brings, a human narrator brings to the story, just doesn't matter. That's lost because you're just playing it too fast. So for that kind of reader, AI works just as well and is cheaper for them. So I like having those options. I personally can't stand listening to AI, but I also don't listen to my books on fast forward. So
there you go. Yeah.
And do you
It's
have
all
those
about
your
options.
audiobooks wide as well? Obviously. Yeah.
Of
On all this.
course.
And so would you put the human narrated and AI ones on the sale? Would you sell the AI ones maybe direct from your website? Like you can't put them on the same platforms?
So such a good question. So actually right now, and this is a super fast moving industry. I'm just going to say, like, 2 months from now, this may be wildly different, but at the moment, you can take your AI narrated audio and you can, people are typically getting it done through Google Play. Google Play is offering it for free, that you can create your AI narrated audiobooks on that dashboard. So you publish it onto Google Play. You can also download it and then upload it to Kobo, your own website, YouTube.
Okay.
The end. Those are the places that you can put AI narrated right now. I am making a pretty damn good guess that Apple Books is going to be there very soon, because they just opened up a beta to be able to have your books turned into AI through them. It's very much in the beta portion of things. So we'll see how things unfold in terms of Apple. And right now in the audiobook world, there's a company called Findaway Voices. And I want you to think of Findaway Voices as the draft digital of the audiobook world. So Findaway Voices will allow you to get to a variety of different storefronts. You are uploading to one place, they're sending it to all the other places. They take a portion of the sales before they send you the rest. The difference between Findaway Voices and Draft Digital is that Draft Digital does have a group of places that you can't go direct to. But the major platforms you can. With audio, that's actually not true. So the only places that you can currently directly upload even human narrated audiobooks is quite short. It's ACX, which is Amazon's audiobook wing, whatever portion of their company. So ACX gets you to Amazon. Kobo, you can upload direct to them, and Findaway Voices gets you everywhere else. So if you want to go to audiobooks.com, you're going through Findaway Voices. If you want to go to Spotify, you're going through Findaway Voices. You can't upload direct to any of those other platforms, even with human narration. So audiobooks, it's best to think, or easiest, I guess, to think about audiobooks as being almost like ebooks 5 years ago. In terms of promotional abilities are quite limited. There's a lot of change in the audiobook world happening very rapidly. Ebooks have stabilized more. There aren't massive changes happening all the time in ebooks. There definitely are in audio. So it's still very much a burgeoning little baby in terms of
I love how you say that, little baby.
little baby of growing up and getting out into the world. And so the one thing that I find working with authors is that they'll sometimes say to me, "Oh, I'm too late. I missed the gold rush." And I'm like, "Oh, sweetheart, we're still there. It's fine. You're okay." We are still, as an industry, we are still little babies. We have a lot of growing up to do, a lot of growth still left. And as long as you are a high quality author with a good product, and you are willing to put in the work to succeed, and you write in a genre that can be profitable, you can succeed. If success means selling and becoming a full-time author, everybody has to have their own definition of success. But if that's what your goal is, you want to quit your day job and you want to just be an author, you can absolutely do that as long as you have some foundational things in place and you take the time to build up your catalog to that point. That's something that I really want to encourage people and let them know that it's definitely not too late. Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I think it's also tempering your expectations that, if you've only got 1 or 2 books out, the likelihood of whichever platform you put them on, that you're going to be able to get up your day job is quite slim. We all want that first book to just, blow the charts out of the water. But yeah,
right.
you just have to have some patience, I think.
Yeah. I equate publishing a new book to building a brick wall. So you put a brick in place, and then you put another brick in place, and you put another brick in place, and eventually you're going to have a nice brick wall that's, gives you protection or whatever. But out of the gate, if you only have 2 bricks sitting on the ground, that's not going to be much of a wall. You can't have much of a career with 2 ebooks out. So there is that. So just keep at it. Make sure that your editing is strong, your covers are strong, and make sure that you are patient. Honestly, be patient, my child. It will be fine.
Yes.
And long term, you'll get there.
Yeah.
Write in series.
Right.
For heaven's sake.
Yeah. So I've got a few sort of just general kind of questions about Wide that we had. And the first one was about reviews. And is it just the same getting reviews Wide, or are there any tips and tricks? Is it harder or easier? Like, how does that work?
Good question. So the good thing about reviews, or the reason that you want reviews is social proof, right? You want somebody to pull up your book and go, hey, 50 other people really liked this book. It must be a good book. That sort of social proof is important. I don't care what platform it is. Human beings are human beings. They're gonna want that social proof no matter what. The thing is that reviews are more scarce on wide platforms. So you don't need nearly as many. So on Amazon, you may be like, oh, I've only got 27 reviews. That's hardly anything. On a wide platform, it's like, hey, I got 27 reviews. That's awesome, right? So you don't need as many as you do on Amazon. They're just more scarce. And that can be really beneficial because it means that you're not having to drum up quite as many ARC reviewers. It can also be negative because if you don't focus on getting wide reviews, and somebody just like 1 or 2 negative reviews can really hurt you, as opposed to if you have 1,000 reviews, 1 or 2 is just going to get lost in the shuffle. I had an ARC reviewer, brand new, sweetheart of a person, thought that the less stars the better.
Yes.
And so she wrote a really glowing review of my book on Barnes & Noble, and it's like amazing, 1 star, and I'm like, and I reached out to her and I was like, hey, could you edit that? She's like, I don't know how. Okay. So it's still there years later. It's been stuck with me all this time.
The beauty of it, though, if somebody really wanted to check out what this 1 star review was about, they'd get it, wouldn't they?
Right. That's fantastic book. Thank you. So my overall rating for that poor book on Barnes & Noble is like, the last time I looked, it was like 3.7 or something, because it just got really pulled down by this 1 star, this glowing 1 star review. So you do have to sometimes pay attention to that. What I do personally is with my ARC team. When I originally reached out and asked my newsletter list to, if anybody wanted to be on my ARC team, I asked 2 things. The first thing is that they needed to review my Permafree book. It's free. You don't have to, I don't need to send it to you. You can go to any platform and you can download it. So first, go review or read my Permafree book. Second, review it on at least 2 storefronts. So Goodreads is not a storefront. Goodreads is a website. You can't buy books off Goodreads, right? So you can review the book on Barnes & Noble and Google Play. You can review the book on Apple and Amazon. I don't care, but it has to be on 2 storefronts. That way, I know that I'm going to be getting reviews on a variety of different sites. So I let them choose. They can write reviews on as many sites as they want. It's just a requirement to write it on 2 stores. But I use a company called Booksprout. And Booksprout is really good in terms of allowing you to manage your review, your ARC team, because they have a spot for an Amazon review. Here's the link. Here's the link to drop that, or here's a spot to drop that link. Apple reviews, here's where we put the link for that. And they give you a place. I mean, they give you places for Smashwords. They give you places for BookBub, Goodreads, and then the major platforms. So then that way, you as the author don't have to go, I don't know, beating down the doors of your ARC readers and saying, hey, did you review? Give me links. Tell me this. That just all goes through Booksprout. So you tell them, here's the book on Booksprout. Go download the ebook from them, read it, and then go review on the various platforms, put your links in, and then I get it on the other side. But I don't give them access to that Booksprout link until they've reviewed the Permafree. So that's step 1. I make them review the Permafree on 2 sites. Then I add them to my ARC team. And then from there, I use Booksprout to get reviews for all books going forward.
That's awesome. Yeah. So let's talk quickly, because you brought it up and I had forgotten about this as a concept. Permafree. So how many books do you have Permafree? Do you have, how many series do you have? Is it multiple series? Do you put the first in series on all of them free, or is it? Do you take it off
so
the
I am I've only got 2 series that justify having a Permafree. So I have a handy dandy rule of thumb, because I have a rule of thumb for everything, but I have a handy dandy rule of thumb for deciding when to make a book free, Permafree. In Permafree, just in case anybody doesn't know what that means, permanently free. So I make a book free for the reader to download. They don't pay anything for it. I don't make any money from it. I make money because hopefully people read the book, love it, and then read the next book in the series, the next book in the series, right? So you make the money off the read through to the other books. Okay, so I have 2 series that are long enough to justify having a Permafree. And the rule of thumb that I give out to people is, if you have a series with 3 books in it and the 4th is on pre-order, then you can justify making book 1 free at that point. If you have less than that, let's say that you wrote a trilogy and you don't have anything else, you can still make book 1 free. It's just going to be harder to do because you have less books for them to read after they've read the Permafree. Right. So, and that's how you make your money, is on the read through. So the less read through you have, the less books there are, the less money you're going to be able to make, just the way the cookie crumbles. So I say 3 out, the 4th on pre-order is the absolute earliest that you should consider putting a book 1 to Permafree. Yeah. Does that?
Yes, no, that's good.
That's very good. Some of us might have just jumped the gun a little bit there.
Oh, I'm not saying you can't. I actually had somebody who made book 1 free the week that they were launching book 2. As a launch book 2, let's get it out there. They put book 1 to free. If you ask them, they do regret it, because so something to know is, and this is true for all platforms, this is not just an Amazon thing. When you first make a book free, it has a life of its own. It's all the platforms, it's got that new free smell to it, and they're excited about it. And so it's easier to rank higher on the download lists, and it's easier to show up in Autobots, and they show your book to more places, or to more people, excuse me. So you just naturally get more organic visibility when you very first put a book to free. Over time, the longer it's free, the less organic visibility that it gets. And there are other ways to then push that book and keep continuing downloads and such like that. But in terms of organic, when it first goes free is the best, and then it starts to drop off over time. You want to save that burst of newness for a time when you have more books to sell to people. You can, just so you know, take a book off free, wait a couple of weeks, put it back to free, and it has that new free book smell all over again.
Wow.
And it will pop up in the rankings again, and then it will start to die off again. The first time you make a book free is going to be the most powerful, because people it's going to be brand new free across the board. Nobody's ever seen this as a free book, right? So you're just naturally going to have the biggest pool of readers at that point. Every time that you pull a book off and then put it back onto free, you get that burst of visibility again, organic visibility, but some people have already downloaded it because it was free before. So those people, they may see it again, but it's already downloaded. They've already read it. So your pool gets smaller over time, which makes sense. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
So
But with more books, you're getting bang for your buck, aren't you? You're getting all that read through, hopefully. So you want it for when you've got the biggest amount of read through possible.
Yeah, exactly. So I have one series that has 10 books in it. It's my cowboy series. And then I have a firefighter series that has 4 books in it. So I have 2 Permafrees right now.
Right.
So I'm working on another series. It's my serviceman series, so military. And when I get to 3 books out and the 4th on pre-order, then I will make that one Permafree too. There's not really a downside to having multiple Permafrees at the same time, because it just gives more entry points for a reader to find you.
Okay. And then that's what you advertise. And you wouldn't, do Amazon ads work for you if you're wide, or are they more if you're in KU and you're better off focusing on things like Facebook ads and other, like newsletter lists and things like that?
Yeah. Okay. So confession time.
Yes.
I do know of authors who have used AMS ads as who are wide. I haven't used AMS ads since they first became available to wide authors. So whenever that was, like 4 or 5 years ago, I think I used it the first couple of months that it was a thing, and I haven't even looked at it since. I've literally never done a Facebook ad in my life. I don't even know where the dashboard is at. I would have to Google that to find the dashboard for ads for Facebook. So
you're my kind of girl.
Right? So I am definitely not the queen of Facebook ads, to put it mildly. And I have done BookBub ads. It's been over a year, I'm pretty sure, maybe a couple of years now, since I last ran a BookBub ad. So I just don't do cost per click ads. I find them obnoxious. I hate A/B testing. I hate moving the button 3 pixels over to the left and changing it to a slightly different color of red to see if that does something. Like, just buy my book or don't buy my book. Go away. I'm a very nice person, but A/B testing makes me crazy. So I don't do it. Life is too short to go crazy. So I use Permafrees, in-house promotions, multi-author box sets, cross promoting with other authors, paid newsletters, BookBubs. You now know my strategy. It's very
I love it.
very
It sounds
simplistic.
simple.
Super simple.
Speaking of simple, I do want to ask you a question about that, but I did want to touch back onto the reviews, if you don't mind. How many ARC reviewers do you have at any given time? Because I think that matters to people when you're going wide, like, because we've talked about it, that it can be tricky to get reviews. So is it different for going wide?
Yeah, back to I am like the world's biggest slacker. You guys, I don't understand why anybody ever asks me for advice because I'm like, be a slacker, it'll be fine. I started out like 3 books ago or 4 books ago with 50 ARC reviewers, and I think I'm down to like 40 now. So yeah, that's my ARC team. I'm like, you know what? You want to read my book? You can go buy my book. It'll be good.
Yeah.
You should go do that. So
I think that sounds like a good number, actually. Yeah.
yeah. There are people who have like 1,000 ARC reviewers, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
no. You get to go buy my book. This is how I pay for cat food. Damn it. I've got a lot of cats.
And the other thing I had was talk about this making things simple is handling updates, because obviously you have a little bit more work to do if you're going to more platforms. So do you have a plan for that? Because I like plans.
Plans, all the plans. So let's see. First off, I create my ebooks using Vellum. So that makes it really easy. Because you put your Word document into Vellum and it spits out 5 different versions to upload to the various platforms. God bless Vellum. I love them. I don't worry about updating back matter a bunch. I try to have back matter be as evergreen as possible. So I do go through and update my back matter like every couple of years, maybe, when I think about it. But I'm not updating it every time I release a new book. That's not a thing. Mama don't have time for that. So I'm happy to just have people go look at my website or sign up for my newsletter, those sorts of things. And then when I do decide to get all ambitious and upload it and update my back matter, then I am a queen of Excel. And so I will have across the top all of the different platforms. And then down the side, I'll have all of the books. And then I can check mark off when I upload book 1 to this side and book 2 to that side. And, because you can start getting into something and you can do 5 books on one site and none of them on another site. And if you don't keep track of it, you'll go crazy. So yeah, that's what I do.
It's exactly what I do. So
oh, nice.
Made sure
all right.
I think that's even worthy of a sticker.
Yeah.
I'll let you put it on your forehead. I used to be a teacher, and I would tell students I was going to put a gold sticker on their forehead. So I reached through the reached through the computer to New Zealand.
I'll give you one next time I see you, Cheryl. It'll be fine.
Sure, Shah's got some.
Yeah, you borrowed some of Shah. So I mean, I could keep asking you questions all day, quite frankly, but I feel like we've actually gone over an hour now.
Yes.
And we better close off the interview and allow our listeners to get back to their real lives. We would love to have you back on and maybe go to the next level of what you need to do wide, because this was just really just an introduction today. Is all we read. There's so much to it and so many pieces of information.
I'd like to thank you for your honesty and openness about what you do, because it's all very good in hearing somebody's story, but the fact how they got there and how they manage it is, I think, equally as important.
Yeah, I am who I am. I'm a pretty real person. So if you'll hear all about my flaws, I'll be the first one to tell you. I've got many flaws. So but yeah, I love helping people more than anything. Like that just makes my heart happy. So I started Wide for the Wind so that I could work with other wide authors. When I first started, I felt like I was the only wide author out there because I didn't know any other wide authors. I started reaching out to other wide authors. I was like, "Hi, I'm a cowboy writer too, and we should cross promote." And so that's how I started, was just reaching out to other Western romance authors, and then we started Wide for the Wind, and I started meeting authors from other genres, and then a couple of years later, I started doing consultations because I started having people reach out to me and say, I will pay you money if you will just sit down and help me figure out a strategy. And I was like, oh, you don't need to pay me money. It's fine. It's fine. I'll just do it. And I was doing Zoom calls for free. I was doing a FaceTime for free. It didn't matter. I was back and forth in emails. And my husband eventually came up to me and he's like, Erin, you're an idiot. Stop. And I'm like, but they need my help. And he's like, well, then charge them for it. And I'm like, nobody would pay to talk to me. Are you kidding me? I'm not that special. Like, why would anybody ever
How
pay
wrong you were.
I know. I'm not kidding you when I say it took me 6 months to finally work up the courage to start charging for my consultations, because I was just like, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do consultations and it'll be crickets. I was just sure of it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm
not the case.
I don't know. I like
that was not what happened, was it, Erin?
No, maybe not.
Like us with the podcast, wasn't it, Trudy?
Yeah. I mean, I think it is because you're in the world and you know this stuff and you forget that people don't know it. You know what I mean? Like stuff that feels basic to you is not basic to me, for example. Like I'm trying to learn all the stuff about being wide, and it's definitely a steep learning curve, and it's probably all just like, you know, bread and butter to you. It seems obvious to you. So it's good to be reminded that maybe some of the stuff that we know isn't what everyone knows, and that maybe we can, you know, help people as well. And
I had to get help from somebody fairly recently and I knew nothing about it. And I was just sitting there and I was like, they were just like putting all this information in my brain. And I thought, this must be what it's like to have a consultation with me. Because like I was talking to this person, they just knew all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. How do you know all of this stuff? And I'm like, I bet you this is the same feeling other people get talking to me. Because to me, it's all very obvious. I don't know about you, but to me.
That was how I felt when I was listening to your presentation from last week. And it was like, oh my goodness, this is all, you know, like
always something
new
to
world.
learn. Always
something to learn. Oh my goodness, But
so if anybody wants to, sorry, I was just going to say, if anybody wants to do a one-on-one consultation with me, or would like to take, I'm doing foundational classes right now, as I'm calling them, where I am trying to teach people the foundation to being a successful wide author. So the foundational classes are happening. Once I get through those, then I'm going to start doing intermediate classes and then advanced classes. So we have that going on, and then we also have my one-on-one consultations. So if you go to my website, erinwright.net/authors with an S at the end. So erinwright.net/authors. You will be able to find my link for my classes, find my link for my consultations, and then I can help you, and it'll be awesome.
That's fantastic. Great. So that's where you can be found. And thank you so much for talking to us today. It's been awesome. I've enjoyed it. We're going to have you back. I can see it now. And Cheryl, where can we be found?
We can be found at spagirlspodcast.com everywhere. We're also on YouTube. And if you'd like to buy us a coffee or help us out in any other way, keep the podcast going, you can join us on Patreon. And we'd love to have you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Erin. Thank you to everyone who's listening or watching on YouTube. We've loved having you here with us, but we're going to go now, and we will see you again next time. Farewell.
Bye.
Bye.